She moved her friend into our place and called it love. That is the sentence I said out loud when I packed the last box. Me, male, 29 years old, line cook who smells like onions even after I shower. Fiancé, female, 27 years old, event planner with perfect nails and color-coded Google calendars. I told her I was done, and she laughed like I was bluffing. Then I opened the hall closet and found the box with my late father's watch, and an empty velvet slot where it should have been. So if you are the kind of person who needs a verdict up front, yes, I called off our wedding. Yes, there were witnesses. And before the ending, there's a scene with a landlord, a gaming chair the size of a throne, and a smell I will describe as hot Doritos. But let me start by saying the thing I did not know when all this began. An apartment is not a home when two people can vote you out of it. It started on a Tuesday in mid-September, when the air in our Brooklyn walk-up tasted like pennies and rain. I came home after a double shift. My feet hummed. The bodega downstairs was frying chicken, and the stairwell smelled like oil and cinnamon spray. In our living room, a woman I had met twice, Rowan, female, 28 years old, my fiancé's best friend from college, was assembling a black and red gaming chair with an Allen wrench and a YouTube tutorial. There were boxes everywhere, a plastic tote of incense sticks, a ring light, suitcases, a cat tower without a cat. Lila, my fiancée, waved a takeout menu like a white flag. "Just for a few days," she mouthed, already smiling at me, already moving toward me with a kiss on her lips and an apology in her eyes. She'd texted me earlier. Rowan hit a rough patch. 2-3 nights tops. I could do 3 nights. I could do 3 nights if it meant I did not become the kind of man who says no to his partner helping a friend. Rowan hugged me like we were on a reality show. She smelled like coconut body spray and stale coffee. By Saturday, the gaming chair had sprouted wheels, and a drinks holder, and a little head pillow. A curved monitor appeared, then an entire desk. The console fan whirred under the TV, a white noise machine for people who never sleep. Our couch had new butt grooves that were not mine. Rowan was polite and loud, a walking contradiction. She said thank you while opening our almond milk. She stacked her shoes in our hallway like she was laying tile. She had opinions about air fryers. She never reached for her wallet. The sink learned her name. When she knocked over a jar of marinara at 2 in the morning, shattering red like a minor emergency, Lila and I slid around the floor in our socks, laughing, picking out glass like confetti after a parade. I wanted to be the kind of man who finds a parade in broken things. But when I woke up at 6 with a piece of glass still glittering in my heel, I realized there's a difference between being generous and being a doormat. I asked Lila for a move-out plan. "It is temporary," she said, stirring her peppermint tea. "She is family. Don't be dramatic." My father's watch ticked on the bookshelf. I swear, it sounded louder. "Am I selfish for putting myself first?" I asked the kitchen air, the peppermint steam, the woman I had promised to marry. Lila's eyes flinched. "You are not selfish," she said. "You are stressed." That is when the Allen wrench squeaked again, and I realized Rowan was adding a footrest. Small, realistic detail you do not think about until you live with a third person, the smell of someone else's shampoo in your towel. The lemon dish soap with a weird afterscent. The way a fork clinks the side of a ceramic bowl over and over. The sound of midnight cereal. The first time I caught Rowan going through my stuff, it was not dramatic. It was a mundane violation. I came home early on a quiet afternoon. The radiator hissed like it does when the building wheezes back to life. Rowan was kneeling by our bookshelf. She had my father's watchbox in her hands and an expression on her face like she was looking for a pen. She startled. She laughed. She said, "I was just curious what brand it was." "Swiss," I said, keeping my voice level, "and private." She smiled, hand over heart, a theater kid apology. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." That night, Lila tucked her legs under mine on the couch. "She is just nosy," she said, scrolling through Pinterest table settings, eucalyptus and beige napkins, and the wedding we were supposedly still having. Rowan is like a cat. If there is a box, she looks inside. She is harmless. Here is another detail. The sound of your own name in an argument traveling through drywall. The neighbor's blender drowning out your point. 3 days became 2 weeks. The landlord, Mr. Espinoza, late 50s, peppermint beard oil, keeps a clipboard like a weapon, slipped a typed notice under the door, a reminder about registered occupants. Leela scribbled, "Got it," on a sticky note and stuck it to the fridge like a grocery list. I tried humor. I started calling the living room Rowan's Lounge and charged imaginary admission. Rowan laughed every time. Leela did not. On a Sunday, I stood in front of the television while a battle royale raged on screen. I took a fake phone call from nobody. I said loudly, "Hey man, I am in my own living room." Rowan paused the game and gave me the look people give you in grocery stores when you block the freezer door. Leela asked if I was kidding. I was, and I was not. Rowan started referring to me as our roommate. Leela did not correct her. That word snagged in my teeth. That night, I lay awake feeling the weight of a ring I had not yet paid off. Is betrayal always the end of a relationship? I asked the dark ceiling. Betrayal? Leela pushed up on one elbow. The streetlight made a ladder on the wall. She is my friend. She was evicted. Then she needs to apply for a new lease, not mine. Baby, Leela said, deploying the voice she uses with nervous brides. It is 3 people against the world right now. We can handle this. Who voted? I asked, because I missed the ballots. She rolled away from me and fell asleep with the efficiency of someone who never doubts herself. Here is the part where a side character becomes a chorus. My older sister, Naomi, female, 32 years old, social worker who carries empathy like a backpack full of bricks, came over with dumplings and a lecture. The kitchen smelled like ginger and scallions, and her voice smelled like judgment. She set the dumplings on the counter and looked around the apartment like it had cheated on me. "Your fiancé moved someone in without asking you?" Naomi said, spearing a pork dumpling like it owed her money. "You are not crazy for feeling trapped. People go years minimizing themselves into silence. Do not be that guy." Leela arrived mid-speech, cheeks flushed from a tasting with a client. She hugged Naomi. She hugged me. She hugged Rowan. She made tea that tasted like flowers and diplomacy. Rowan said, "If I get the tech job, I will be out by next Friday." Naomi squinted. "Do you have interviews?" Rowan said, "Manifesting is the first step." Naomi chewed, did not blink. "Second step is a lease with your own name on it." Rowan changed the subject to our wedding playlist, throwback hip-hop or 90s pop. She wanted to dance in the living room to prove she belonged in the living room. "Neither," Naomi said. "You do not live here." Leela's smile tightened. "We are helping." Naomi turned to me like a talk show audience. "If you were me, how would you decide?" she asked, knowing I hate when she uses therapist tricks. "I do not know," I said. "Ask me after I sleep in my own living room for one night." Here is a tiny detail that felt like a sign. My favorite coffee mug, the chipped one with my high school mascot on it, disappeared. In its place, a brand new mason jar with a bamboo lid appeared, like Instagram had walked into my kitchen and redecorated. It was a small thing. I hated it. When Naomi left, she hugged me and whispered, "Your boundaries are not mean." I held that sentence in my mouth like a seed. Midpoint, the twist. It did not come with fireworks, it came with paper. Mr. Espinoza rang the bell on a Wednesday afternoon when Leela was at a warehouse walkthrough and Rowan was in Rowan's Lounge talking to strangers into a headset. The hallway smelled like concrete dust and laundry soap. He held up a folder. "Just need your initial on the addendum since you are the one who always drops the rent." Addendum? I felt the first cold creep up my spine. "Registered third occupant," he said. "We are not supposed to do it mid-lease, but your fiancé was persuasive." I was polite because I am polite when I am shocked. "Can I see the form?" He handed it over. It had Leela's neat block letters. It had Rowan's full name, driver's license, the date, 2 weeks ago, and a signature that looked like my fiancé's or a good forgery. "I never saw this," I said. "I never agreed." He pulled at his beard. "You mean you did not sign?" My hands shook. "That is not my signature." Mr. Espinoza looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. "Work it out and bring it by," he said, already backing away. peppermint trailing like a question mark. I closed the door. The radiator hissed like a warning. In the living room, Rowan killed the mic, yanked off her headset, and looked at the paper in my hand like it was a subpoena. "She was going to tell you," Rowan said softly. "She wanted to tell you after your double. You get so tired." "She put you on the lease," I said. "She forged my name." Rowan chewed her lip. She looked smaller. She did not want to lose the apartment, the wedding, the deposits. She said if I was on the lease, we could split more and you would not notice. "She lied to both of us," I said, and the sentence made a new sound in my throat. Rowan shook her head, and then nodded, and then shook her head again, like a broken metronome. "She thought you would say no. She said your no is louder than her yes." There is a line people post on social media that sounds wise until it happens to you. Choose your peace. My peace had a price tag, an illegal signature, and a deadline. When Lila came home, Rain spotted her blazer like freckles. I held up the addendum. "What is this?" She dropped her tote. "I can explain." "Explain the forgery," I said. "Use small words." She bristled. "I am sorry. I handled it wrong. I panicked." "You moved your friend in, and then you made it permanent." "It is not permanent," she said, palms out, event planner voice in full control. "It is a safety net. We were eating late fees. You have been doing doubles. My clients are paying slow. Rowan can help until the wedding." I stared at her. I smelled rain and frying garlic from someone else's pan. A truck honked 3 floors below. "You do not build a marriage by lying about who lives in it." Her face cracked, just a hairline. "I did not want to lose us," she said, which is the kind of sentence that almost works if you whisper it. I put my father's watch in my pocket and my phone on the table like I was laying down my weapons. "It is not Rowan," I said. "It is you, and it is me, and it is the fact that you chose convenience over consent." Rowan stood in the doorway, arm around herself. "I can leave," she said. "I will leave." Lila snapped. "No, you are not the villain." That is when I said a 9-word sentence that felt like a meme and tasted like blood. She did not cheat, she built a double life. I stayed that night because leaving mid-storm is theatrical, and I am not an actor. The next morning, the hallway smelled like wet shoes, and the lobby mailboxes rang like bells when a kid slammed the outer door. I took a day off work. Lila took a day off pretending this was fine. Rowan went to a friend's couch to create space, which was the first act of kindness since her Allen wrench. We sat at the table with cinnamon rolls that neither of us ate. The coffee went cold while we circled language like a drain. The addendum sat between us like a third person. Lila cried. Lila did not tell me the 3 days story had always been a hope, not a promise. Lila told me Rowan had loaned her money for a venue deposit last winter, and she felt indebted. "I was embarrassed," she said. "I should have told you. I thought I could fix it before you noticed." "You thought I was the problem you had to fix," I said. "I thought you would say no," she said. "You were right," I said. We were quiet for a long time. The radiator sighed. The upstairs neighbor dropped something heavy. A siren slid by outside, Doppler effect turning the sound into a wave. Then Lila's phone lit up with a message from Rowan, a photo of my father's watch. The caption, "Found this in my tote. I am sorry, we'll drop it off." I could feel my heartbeat in my teeth. "She stole from me," I said, not yelling, which is somehow scarier. "She borrowed," Lila said, the worst word she could have chosen. "Stop," I said gently. "Listen to yourself." She thought what belonged to me could belong to her, because you set the tone." The cinnamon rolls looked obscene on their plate, sugar sweating in the heat. "Is betrayal always the end of a relationship?" I said aloud, and it was not a question for Lila anymore. It was a question for the person I had been when I picked out a ring. It was a question for people older and smarter than me shouting in a comment section somewhere. There is always a practical chapter in these stories that nobody wants to hear, so I will keep it cinematic. I called Mr. Espinoza. He called his lawyer. Forgery is a big word that gets smaller when you are 2 months from your lease ending and everyone just wants to reset. He said he would accept a notarized letter from me withdrawing consent, and we could leave at the end of the month with no penalty if we vacated early and the place was clean. He did not want cops or court. Lila did not either. I made a checklist on a yellow legal pad and flicked the pages like a metronome. Utilities, deposits, the wedding venue where the roses looked fake on purpose. The ring I still owed money on. I opened a savings account named Plan B and put what I could in it. I told my chef I needed evenings off for a while, and he looked at my face and said, "Do what you need," which is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me in a kitchen. Naomi came over with boxes and tape that sounded like small gunshots when I pulled it. We packed like we were on a heist. I labeled the boxes like a man who needs control. Books, mine. Winter clothes. Kitchen, keep. Kitchen, donate. Would you forgive if they admitted everything? Naomi asked, not looking at me, because she has learned how to ask questions without stabbing you. Maybe, I said, if admission came with respect. You do realize, she said, sealing a box of mugs, respect is not an apology. It is a habit. That night, Leela asked if we could pause the breakup until after her sister's baby shower on Sunday. It would be awkward to show up not engaged. I said yes because I'm the kind of idiot who tries to land the plane without spilling anyone's champagne. We slept back to back, the bed a quiet battlefield where no one won. Rowan slid the watch under our door in a padded envelope with a long text I did not answer. She was applying for jobs. She would be out by Friday. She was sorry. She was. Am I selfish for putting myself first? I whispered to the envelope. The question felt different now, less pleading, more spine. Climax wasn't a shout in our apartment. It was a toast in a rented party room over a bakery in Bay Ridge, where the frosting smelled like sugar glue and the balloons squeaked when kids rubbed them. Leela's mother hugged me like a prize and asked about centerpieces. Leela floated through the room in a blush dress, perfect again, radiant in the light of people who did not know what she had done. Her cousin lifted a plastic flute. To Leela and our favorite future brother-in-law. The room clapped. Leela's eyes found me. She nodded. Say something sweet. I stood. I held a cup of flat ginger ale. I looked at the women who made her, and the men who would help me carry chairs later, and the kids licking blue icing off their fingers. I thought about being kind, and about being truthful, and about the person I would be if I did not say what I needed to say. Is being direct always better than being polite? I heard Naomi's voice in my head, and my own answer came out. Yes, I said to myself, and then to the room. No question here, just the echo of the bank I did not speak aloud. I love your daughter, I told Leela's mother. I wanted to marry her, but we are not getting married. We are parting as kindly as people can when they stop being kind to each other. The room froze. Plastic cups hovered mid-air. Someone's baby laughed because someone's baby did not care. Leela's face did not move at first. Then everything on it moved at once. She whispered my name like a warning. People looked at Rowan in the back, who had come just to help set up, who held a diaper cake like a shield. I laid down my line, sharp enough for a thumbnail. She did not cheat. She chose a roommate over a husband. There was a sound like when a cake falls in the oven. Leela rushed toward me. We can talk about this. We did, I said, for weeks. Her aunt whispered to another aunt. Her cousin's mouth made a perfect O. The bakery owner turned up the music on instinct. Naomi stood behind me, a wall I did not deserve. Do you think I'll regret this later? I asked the room, and I meant it, and I didn't. A murmur ran through the family like a small, mean river. Leela's mother put her hand over her mouth. Rowan stared at the floor. I set the plastic cup down carefully so it wouldn't spill. Then I walked out past the balloons and the smell of white cake and the clink of silver knives in plastic bins. Outside, the air smelled like rain again, fresh and new. Resolution that is not the end. I moved into a studio above a laundromat on 4th Avenue,
where the hum of machines is steadier than a heartbeat. I bought a cheap rug that does not match anything. I hung a photo of my father, wearing the watch I keep on the dresser now, looped over a ceramic hand I found at a thrift store. The first morning I woke up there, the sun caught the dust just right, and the world looked kinder. I made coffee in my chipped mug. I could hear the downstairs dryer tumbling. A soft applause.
Leela sent a long email with bullet points and sorrow. She was returning the ring deposit with money she did not have. She was moving in with her sister for a while. She was in therapy, she said, and I hope that is true. She wanted to meet for closure at our favorite diner. I said I would think about it. Then I did not. Rowan texted Naomi, not me, to say she had gotten a job in tech support and an apartment in Queens with a roommate who knew about her before she arrived with a ring light. Would you forgive if they admitted everything? Naomi asked again when she read me the text. I forgive the part that lets me sleep, I said. The rest is for time to decide. People at work asked questions with their eyebrows. My chef slid a slice of key lime pie onto a plate and pushed it toward me with a fork. The line cooks who tease me about everything said nothing. When I got home, I put fresh sheets on my bed and stared at them like they were a magic trick. One night, I stood at my window and watched a woman on the corner braiding her daughter's hair under a streetlight. The daughter swung her legs and ate a popsicle, and the streetlight turned the wrapper into a mirror. I thought about how many small decisions make a life, and how few of them are witnessed. I thought about vows and leases and signatures and silence. A week later, Leela left the building keys and a letter with Mr. Espinoza. It said, I am sorry. It said, I hope you find someone who makes you feel like home. It said, I am trying to become that person for myself. It did not say, I will fix what I broke. Because some things are not fixable. They are recyclable. You make something new out of what is left. A friend asked if I would ever try again with Leela. I said the realest thing I have ever said. Is betrayal always the end of a relationship? I asked myself one more time, and then I answered like a line cook who burns and starts over. Not always, but this one is. Rowan messaged me one last time. Thank you for not destroying me online, she wrote. Is silence after betrayal worse than confrontation? She added, which I guess is a thing she found on a quote account. I did not respond. The answer is none of her business. Here is my final punchline, the one I wish someone had said to me sooner. Love is not a group project. And as for the one question I keep for the comment section, for the strangers who will never sit on my couch, if you were me, how would you decide?